You are now tuned in to the Dads Who Lift podcast. Please give us a like, share, subscribe to the YouTube account. We are on www.dadswholiftofficial.com. All the podcast links are in there. We also have an apparel line that's taking pre-orders right now. We're on IG as Dads Who Lift Official handle. We're on Facebook, Dads Who Lift Podcast. We also have a Dads Who Lift fitness group on Facebook that's Dads Who Lift Official. A group of 30,000 like-minded dads that are just trying to be their best selves and staying fit. If that's something you're into, please check it out. But we do this stuff for free, guys, so please give us a like, share, 5-star review. We really appreciate your support. You are now tuned into the Dads Who Lift podcast. You have your host, Tyler Gata.
Co-host Joel Staley. The camera keeps, I feel like you're phasing me out. That's why we're not even on camera anymore.
They did move again, didn't they? That's because I didn't like that fucking, I don't care. I mean, yeah, we want you to have an angle.
All the cameras are pointing towards my hickey.
Yeah, I was going to ask you.
Amy saw that too. She's like, what the fuck is that? I was like, what is it? I got choked the F out at jiu-jitsu multiple times, but this is a nice little collar choke. Amy wasn't trying to hear that though. She's like, you got receipts? Let me see your phone. It looks like one. I was like, shut up. And then 3 hours later, I went up to take a shower and I saw it in the mirror and I was like, holy shit, that does look like a hickey.
So I just signed back up for our Premier Combat. So I'm going to be getting my fucking jiu-jitsu back on and my boxing back on here shortly.
Nice. I want to get into the boxing aspect, but I figure I need to learn the ropes of the ground stuff first.
See, that's where my feet game is good. My ground game, I don't know. That's how I got to get in there and see how I am. I feel like until you get like the technique down all the way, though, it's just going to be like pure power and force. Yeah. Because most of these guys in there aren't like bodybuilders that are super strong. So I would imagine that you're outpowering them, but you're probably like not on technique.
Some big guys in there, surprisingly. So when I first started, I liked wrestling the 170, 180 pounders because you could just kind of throw them around, but yeah, I don't like that anymore because then I don't feel like I'm learning anything. Whereas if you can get a guy that's 220, 230 and some sort of make him tap, then it's like, okay, well, this guy's got 20, 30 pounds on me. Now I know I'm actually doing something. I'm not just using fucking out-muscling him. But it's fun, though.
So what do you think about this election, man?
It's crazy. I was just saying I was watching a live stream, Louder with Crowder. Yeah. It went till like 2 a.m, but I pooped out at like 10 because I was like, knowing my luck, I'll stay up till 2. I'll be tired all day tomorrow and they won't have a result. So I wake up at 5 this morning and look, and of course there's no result. So like, all right, good thing I went to bed.
Yeah, I stayed up watching it till like 11 something, but this is going to drop probably Friday. I would assume it's Wednesday now. So hopefully by the time this drops, we have a actual result, but it's crazy as fuck how close this race is.
Well, the weird thing is Pennsylvania doesn't require you to postmark your votes or post-date your votes. So, like, that's the end-all be-all basically right now is who wins Pennsylvania, at least as far as I know, in a handful of states. And I don't even know if they're done taking votes yet. It's November 4th.
What do you mean they don't?
So every other state, like, if it's not postmarked November 3rd or earlier.
Are you talking about the mail-in ballots?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I heard, that they had to be postmarked November 3rd or earlier.
But they're not in Pennsylvania.
Really?
That's what I heard. I heard that a couple days ago. And, of course, then I'm watching it, and Pennsylvania is, like, the big one. I was like, what?
I don't know, man. I don't even know. I don't want to get all
it's weird.
Rabbit hole-y.
It's weird.
These mail-in ballots, I don't know how. I mean, it's crazy to me how you can go vote, and I get that this is our system, and I get it, but like, I can go vote, and all I got to give them is my address and my name. No ID, no nothing like that. Like, who's to say that I couldn't just walk in and say that I was all my neighbors and go put in votes, which, I mean, I guess it's like the honor system, but the people are not fucking honest anymore. You know what I mean? I mean, people spend millions of dollars, billions of dollars to get their political views and points across and their agendas across. I don't know. It's just weird to me.
I think we both think it'll go to the Supreme Court, though. That
has nothing to do with the mail-in ballot. I'm just saying it's weird to me how you can, like, I would like it if you had to present your ID to vote. I mean, make sure that you're a U.S. citizen, that you are who you are. I just don't understand. Like, you have to present your ID to buy a pack of cigarettes. To buy a vape,
they didn't ask
to buy
for
alcohol.
ID either.
No, because you don't have to fucking have it. That's what I'm saying. It's crazy. I don't know. I mean, it has nothing to do with like this year. That's how it's always been.
I should have went and beat my dad and voted the way I wanted to.
Yeah.
Because especially since we have the same name.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of live by him. I should have just went in there, put a little mustache on, and like, one for Trump, please.
I don't know, man. It's just crazy. But yeah, I mean, I hope it doesn't end up in the Supreme Court for weeks. But that's kind of the way that it looks. But nonetheless, it's a close race. I think both sides didn't think it would be this close. I mean, I honestly didn't think that it would be this close for Biden. But
do you ever, getting a little off topic here, do you ever find yourself like you get into something and then you're just like, no, it's not really the time, and then later on it kind of pops in and you know, like, oh, that's just the right time now? So we were talking about jiu-jitsu when we first started.
Yeah.
Like 6 months ago, I went and I did 2 classes, and then I went to sign up and they're like, hey, we'll get you next time you come in. And I didn't come in for like 3 more months. And then something clicked 3 months later. I'm like, all right, I'm going. And I've been 3 times a week religiously for the last few months now. I love it. I just know that it's something I'm going to stick with.
Yeah.
I ordered a book last year about real estate from this guy, Ryan Ank. He was actually on the podcast before, like when I was just on Zoom or whatever, because he went from flat broke to now like millionaire, all in real estate. He was in Katrina. He was a teacher, so he spent $20,000 to get his degree to make $24K. Then Katrina happened. He lost his job. He lost his house. Wife was 8 months pregnant. So it's just like he had to figure something out. And he got into real estate. So he wrote a book, and I ordered it last year. I've never even cracked it open. And last night, just randomly, I'm like looking through my books. I'm like, I'm not just going to sit on the couch and watch Kennedy shows again. I'm not going to play on my phone either. So I'm like, I'm going to pick out a book. And then I just started going through his book. I'm like, man, all right, I think my goal for 2021 is to just do my first real estate deal.
Yeah. That's a good goal.
Yeah, but it's kind of funny. It's like I find that happening a lot. I kind of jump into something and I'm like, nah. And then later on down the road, it comes resurfacing. It's like, oh, now's like the perfect time, because I find myself sometimes I'm bored throughout the day. I want a challenge right now. So I think that's going to be it. But
the older and older I get, man, the more I realize how important timing is. How timing factors into everything that we do, basically. And I mean, yeah, there's a right time and a wrong time for everything. But I think when it's the right time, it's just going to click. It's going to feel right.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
I was reading it last night. And I was like, man, had I read this last year, I wouldn't have done anything with it.
Right.
I probably would have read a couple pages and put it down. Now I'm like, okay, it's actually a blueprint. It gives you like a 7-day layout. I was like, oh, I can actually I have time to do this right now.
Right.
So, and I know he has a coaching program, which if you want to get into the topic of the podcast here, it kind of also feeds into that too.
Yeah. Well, so did you said that now you like jiu-jitsu. I was going to ask you, do you like it when you're actually heading there? Do you like it, or do you like it after?
No, I fucking hate it. But here's what I've done to kind of offset
like it
that.
after.
I do like it after. Here's what I've done to actually kind of cheat the system.
This goes into the topic.
As I said on one of the last podcasts, I hate it every morning. I'm like, I'm in bed. I was like, much rather just either stay at home or like stay in bed, not go get my ass kicked, have like these guys sweating in my mouth and shit like that. I hate it. But what I've done to offset that lately is on the days that I don't do jiu-jitsu, I'm doing a Murph.
Oh, okay.
And Murph fucking sucks 3 times worse.
Yeah.
So now I wake up and I'm like, oh, nice. It's only jiu-jitsu today. Yeah. As opposed to, fuck, I got.
So have you completed a whole Murph?
I did my first one Sunday when I was hungover as fuck from Halloween. So, yeah, it sucks.
So you're doing either jiu-jitsu or a Murph?
Or a Murph. I get 1 day off. So 3 Murphs a week, 3 jiu-jitsus a week, and then I get 1 day off. So if something were to happen and I had to miss something, that leaves me Sunday where I can catch up.
Nice.
Yeah. But it fucking sucks. So now every day sucks.
I mean, for me, so I just finished phase 1 of 75 hard yesterday. So you're trying not to drink. Thank you. You're trying not to drink in November, though.
Yep.
I was going to bring a bottle in this morning and take a shot since I just finished my 75 hard before the podcast, because now I can drink and now you're not drinking. But I mean, it'll be like a week or two and then you'll be drinking again.
That would have been the case too. I probably would have drank last night, but fucking Amy, man. She's like, we both know you're going to drink. I was like, you really think that too? And that's why I went back to jujitsu. There's something about watching her eat her words, man. There's nothing more satisfying to me.
Well, I hope you can do it this time, man. I hope you can. But no, so that's what it was for me, was the cold showers, dude. Every fucking time. And like, I shower at night. I like to shower at the end of my day. I don't have time to shower twice. Like, I thought about, oh, maybe I'll just start waking up and showering in the morning, get my cold shower out of the way. That way I can enjoy a nice shower at night, a hot, nice shower at night. Mm-hmm. And it never happened, ever. I'm just too busy, you know? So, especially when I'm doing 75 hard, I'm way too busy. So my cold shower is always at night. And every single time, dude, it's like, I'll be like, I mean, I'll get naked. And then I'll just be walking around the house for like 15 to 20 minutes finding shit to do, because I'm like, oh, man, I really don't want to do this. Oh, I could go do this. Oh, shit, I could read my book real quick. And then finally I'm like, all right, this is not getting done unless you just get it over with. Don't be a pussy. And every single time I got to tell myself, don't be a pussy.
It works, right?
It. Every time. So then I get in the shower and I'm still like hopping around a little bit. I'm like, oh, shit, probably another couple minutes in the shower. Then I do it, and then it's never that bad. And when I'm done, I'm like, oh, shit, that was good. And once your body gets acclimated to it, I mean, there's been times where, like, you know, I'll have to shave my arms or shave my chest or, you know, whatever in the shower. And obviously you don't want to do that when it's cold as fuck. So I'm like, all right, I'll just take my cold shower first, then I'll turn it hot, and then I'll shave. There's been times where I'm so acclimated where I've just fucking shaved in the cold. Like, wow, no big deal, you know, yeah. And then you feel good afterwards. So the topic of this podcast and what I want to get into, and this kind of all relates to the shit that we're talking about, is put your money where your mouth is. And that's a saying. So it doesn't have to be money. This is not like only money type deal. But the point is whatever you want to do in life, whatever your desire is, whatever your passion is, whatever you want to come out of your life, you have to make it happen. And I'm fucking tired of hearing people whine and bitch and complain. And this kind of goes with the same fuck your luck podcast that we did. You know, I'm just so tired of people playing the victim. And that's what I see 9 out of 10 times. It's people playing the victim. Oh man, I wish I could get here, but this happened. Or I really want to do that, but this. Or, you know, maybe down the road, maybe in 10 years, I'll be able to do that. You know, it's like, no, man, you have to take the fucking plunge now. You have to make it happen now. Whatever you want out of life is not going to happen unless you do it. Just like that cold shower. I don't want to get in that fucking cold shower, but I know that I have to get in the cold shower, and I know that it's beneficial for me in my future and my goals to get in that cold shower. But that cold shower ain't happening unless I just do it. You know, I could sit there and say, oh, in 10 minutes I'll get in, 20 minutes I'll get in, 30 minutes I'll get in. Next thing I know, it's midnight. You know, it's not going to happen. It's not going to propel me forward unless I just make the choice to get in and fucking do it and get it done. And then afterwards, it propelled me forward. I feel better. I'm more on track towards my goals.
I would challenge anyone to give me an example that for someone who can't reach their goal, or at least come close, that the case doesn't just boil down to you just don't want it bad enough. Because if you want it bad enough,
100%.
That's when you find yourself working the 20-hour days, when you like take out a second mortgage on your home to put it out on like something like this, to find the resources, scrape them together so you can make it happen. Especially so I take multiple calls from prospects almost every day, and spoilers, everyone wants to lose weight, everyone wants to build a lean muscular physique, everyone wants to
have money, healthier. Everyone wants to be successful.
But we say, all right, here's a proven process. Hundreds of guys, women have already gone through it. It's proven. All you have to do is show up. We give you all the resources, all the tools to be successful. Here's what we need from you. And the ones who want it, like, that's the perfect tripwire. Because the ones who want it bad enough, they say, all right, yeah, let's do it. It's like, okay, we know you're going to be successful because you want it bad enough. The ones that are the victim mentality that go, oh, I couldn't do that. I could never do that. Like, okay, well, then you just don't fucking want it bad enough. Otherwise, it'd be, how can I do that? We've talked about that before, too. It's, if you just chalk it up to the victim mentality, you're never going to get there, because you really, going back to me drinking. If I drink, I fucking didn't want it bad enough.
Right.
But if someone said, hey, we're going to murder your family and burn your house down if you drink this month, fucking it would be a no-brainer, right?
Right.
Because I'd want it way more.
Yeah.
So I think that's always what it comes down to is, do you really want it as bad as you keep telling yourself you want it, or are you just fucking talking shit?
Yeah, I believe that as well. But I also think that fear has a big thing to play into it too. You know, you could want it really bad, but if your fear outdrives that want, then you're not going to do it either.
That's a good point.
And another thing too is like, and we've talked about this before, and I think this is a major key player in anything success driven or success wise is that you have to believe that you can do it, which kind of goes hand in hand with that fear. So if you're sitting there thinking, you know, you're overcome by fear, overwhelmed by fear, I really want to do that, but I can't, or, you know, you don't believe in yourself or whatever it is, then it's never going to happen. You can want it really, really bad, but if you don't think it's possible for you, then it's never going to happen. It's never going to come.
Dude, so on Halloween, we have mostly family over, some friends. Latest people to stay were like my mom, her husband, my dad, his girlfriend, and me and Amy and a couple neighbors. Of course, my dad, man, I love you still, but he's got his Biden-Harris mask on. Just piss me off. God. Not only that, it's not even only one there with the mask, but not only is he wearing a Biden-Harris mask, but of course it's around his chin, and his fucking mouth and nose are out all night. So it's literally doing fucking nothing but trolling me.
Yep.
And he's smoking cigarettes all night. And I'm like, dude, if you're so fucking worried about it, why don't you quit smoking? You're worried about this 0.003% of dying from COVID if you catch it. And here you are fucking smoking cigarettes on repeat.
Right.
Like, you're obviously not that worried about it. I was like, why don't you just quit? And he goes, I can't. And I was like, the fuck do you mean you can't? Of course you can.
Right.
You just don't want to bad enough. That's exactly what we're talking about. But in his mind, he literally... So that goes back to like the fixed mindset and the growth mindset. He's like, oh, I'm just a smoker. I could never. I can't do it.
Dude, I thought that for a long time. I mean, I still have a vape that I puff on here and there, but I thought forever. Oh, and I've said that. I'm just a smoker. I like to smoke. You know, I'll be smoking forever. You know, it wasn't, and this is the funny thing. It wasn't until I was disgusted by it that I actually quit. So basically, it wasn't until the drive to want to quit was high enough that I actually quit. And then I quit just out of the blue. No Nicorette, no bullshit, no nothing. I just, you know, I remember coming in, you know, my fingers were yellow, nails were yellow, and I would come in every night from work. And this was still when I was out in the field working in the shop and working out with my guys every day. So I did hard manual labor. So I smoked a shitload, you know, at least a pack a day. And I would come in every day from work and I would hop in the shower and I'd be able to wash the smell off. And after the shower, I'd smell good and everything was good. And I never really smoked once I got home. Like that time from home to bed, I never really smoked. It was all like out when I was out working outside all day. Once I got home to my kid, maybe I had like one before bed or something like that, or maybe a couple puffs. But I was able to wash that smell off. And I got to the point to where I couldn't wash the smell off anymore.
Oh, wow.
No matter what, after I showered, my fingers were still yellow. My nails were yellow and my hands still smelled like smoke. And that's when I was like, man, this is fucking disgusting. I'm done. And I just quit. But I wanted it bad enough in that time.
Yeah.
You know?
I tried quitting smoking multiple times just for that. I hated smelling like it. I felt like my face got greasier. I just felt like I'd be working out at the gym, like hacking shit up.
Yeah.
And like that, it gradually got worse and worse and worse. It took me multiple attempts. I'd go maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks, and then I'd stop. And then just one, I believe it was 2016 New Year's Eve. I was like, no, I'm fucking done. And I've been done. I haven't had a cigarette since. So
nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I get he's been doing it a lot longer, but here's the thing. If the first thing you say to yourself is I can't, then you're right. You fucking can't. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Just like that old Henry Ford saying goes.
You know what's funny? So after we shot last week, or maybe it was before we shot last week, last Wednesday, we were talking about a Real as Fuck podcast. And we were talking about these guys, guests that were on that podcast that had succumbed up to $100 million in wealth and lost it all. Like lost it completely, all of it, went bankrupt. And then we were talking about Sean Whalen. Sean Whalen had the same fucking thing happen. And how they both of these people built that wealth back up to where I'm not quite sure if they're 100 million each. I would assume they are, but I'm not honestly 100% sure. But I know that they built that wealth up pretty fucking close, if not more, to where they had been before they lost it. And your comment was, that's because they've already done it. They know they can do it.
It's possible.
Yeah. So like most people don't even think that they can build wealth up to $1 million or 5 million or 10 million, let alone 100 million, and then lose it and then say, no big deal, I'll do it again, and build it back up in the same lifetime, the same $100 million. And that attest is to the fact that that's 100% the truth, is that they believe they can do it. Mm-hmm. Like they've already done it, so they know they can do it again. And that's really the only factor, I think, holding people back in society, is that they don't believe that they can do these things that they want. And it doesn't have to be with money. I mean, it could be, being the best dad that you can be, or, taking your family on a trip, or whatever the fuck your desire is and whatever your passion is. Like, you see the neighbor or, a friend that does this, that, and the other. My buddy Pedro just bought a house in Mexico, cash, nice house. We'll call it an estate. And it's like, I could never have a house in Mexico, but I want a house in Mexico. I can never have a house in Mexico. It's like, no, yes, you can. You can do it too. If one person can do it, if it's out there and somebody else does it, you can do it as well. The only one holding you back is you, and you're not a victim. Like, the only one that's going to go make that happen is you. And so where this ties in, and some pretty good examples, and why I like this topic between us, is because we both live this, is put your money where your mouth is. And we're nowhere near a Sean Whalen or an Andy Frisella or anything like that as far as accumulation of money or wealth success. But we're still prime examples, because you decided to take a leap on your business it was doing. So you had a job, and we've talked about this before, but you had a cake job making 6 figures, where your fitness company was doing how much a year at that point?
First year was 3,000. Second year was 10,000. I quit after that 10,000 mark.
So you did 10,000 a year doing fitness, and then you decided to quit your 6-figure job and go out and chase your passion and go all in on your fitness company. Mm-hmm. And while you did that, you didn't really tell your wife, and she was pissed off about it and basically threatened to divorce you in that time for making that decision. I think it was an empty threat, but
yeah,
still,
she didn't move out.
Whatever. It was still like, it wasn't like
it
wasn't a good stress-free time. You know what I mean? It's not like timing lined up. We talked about timing. It's not like timing lined up and everything was fucking rainbows and butterflies and everything worked out perfectly.
Here's what's funny about that, though, and you'll get it. Most people won't get it. The people that are saying they're waiting for the right time, they won't get it. Is like, I didn't have a fucking choice. If I could have made no more than 10,000 that next year, I could have had to go like groveling back to the old company or find a new job and just like say, hey, I totally failed. It wasn't like, all right, should I stay here or shouldn't I? Fucking like knew I had to do it. There wasn't a choice.
Yep.
So even though it was scary and it was stressful, like you said, I wasn't at home like chewing my fingernails. I mean, I called you right away. I was fucking stoked. I knew I was on the right path. I knew it was in line with the vision I had for myself, and it was listening to my gut. It was speaking very loud to me. So after I knocked that first domino down, even though it was a stressful situation and my back was against the wall, it wasn't like oh shit, should I have done that? Or it was like, all right, I did the hard part. Now fucking get to work.
See, but you already had some steps in play that a lot of people don't. And that's, you already knew that you could do it or believed that you could do it.
I believed I could do it.
And you already had your passion figured out. You knew where your passion lied.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A lot of people are too scared to take that step, and it's never going to come unless you take that step.
Right.
Yeah. And not to get too much, like too deep into your, finances and things like that, but I know you've come a long way since then. But just kind of set the perspective, like it wasn't like you had hundreds of thousands of dollars in your bank account when you made that drop. Like how much did your first coach cost?
$5,800, and I think I had $7,000 on my name.
That's what I'm saying. So this is the perspective I want people to see. Like, this is what it takes. This is what putting your money where your mouth is means, right? This is a prime example right here, because you're talking a guy that made 6 figures, wife's pissed that he quit his job, $7,000 in his bank account.
Daughter just started daycare.
Yeah.
Mortgage, bills.
Yep. $7,000 in his bank account, spends $5,800 of it on his coach. I remember when you hired that first coach, because I remember you called me and you were like, well, I just spent almost all my money on this coach, so it either works or it doesn't. And that was it. It was like, but you were all in, man. And that's what it takes to get to a level of where these guys are at, where these Andy Versillas are at, where these Sean Whalens are at, where these big time names are at. Andy Versilla talks about all the time how he slept in his first shop for years, didn't make any money for years. And had a piss stained mattress that he slept on the back of his shop that he got can't remember where the fuck it was, out of a Goodwill or dumpster or I can't remember exactly.
Here's what's really fucked up though. So even though I spent the $5,800, I really had 7 to my name. It wasn't like, okay, if this doesn't work, I have to go back to my old job. It was like, if this doesn't work, I'm going to be in a really shitty position and I'm going to have to figure something else out. So whether that be credit cards, whether that be moving fucking my family in my mom's basement, it wasn't like, all right, well, now my bank account's at 0. I get a fucking part-time job as a server. It wouldn't have been, all right, all my eggs are in this coaching basket. If this doesn't pan out, I'm going back. It was like, hopefully this pans out because I don't have any more money left. But if it doesn't, how far am I willing to take this thing before I fucking tap out? And I was willing, I would have taken it very far. I just know in my gut I would have.
See, and that right there too is I've been wanting to do a podcast on ego, and I think we're going to do a separate podcast on ego when I kind of wrap my mind around it a little bit more and figure out how I want to present it. But that right there is a prime example of humility, because the ego-driven man would have said, I'm not moving out of my house. I'm not moving my family out of my house. I've built up to what I have. At that point you had things. I built up to what I have, and I'm not taking less. I'm not accepting less. So that ego-driven mind would have spent the money, and if it wouldn't have worked out, they would have said fuck it and went back to the job. I
think when you refuse to fucking take no for an answer, that's when the good shit starts happening. Because that's the position I was at. I was like, we're gonna figure this shit out. I don't care if I gotta rack up some debt or I gotta whatever I gotta do. We're going to make it happen.
Right. So because no one else is going to make it happen for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I just don't think people realize what it takes to make things happen as far as following your dreams and following your passion. And there's a lot of people that say this, that, or the other, or this day, or when that happens, or when I get done with this.
When the timing's right.
When the timing's right. When the time comes. After this promotion, once I get that promotion, then I'll do that. Those times never come.
They don't ever come.
You have to make it happen. I mean, and even with me, I'm 11 years into my main company, and I'm still reinvesting almost all of my money back into my company. And you would think, because I want to get to better places, I could be happy with where I am right now. And I mean, I still live a good life, but I could be happy with where I am now and live a lot caker life, or have a lot more things, or spend my money on things that I want. But I still choose, because I'm not where I want to be yet. Even 11 years into this, I still choose to re-pour most of my money all back into my company. I mean, I just spent $300,000 cash getting ready for this winter for my main company.
Damn.
Cash. And it's I don't have millions in the bank account. I don't have 300,000 that I can just spend cash and things don't get a little bit tight, Now, as long as it snows this winter, it's going to come back to me tenfold, and it'll be no big deal. But that's the whole point of growth. So I'm still growing my company. I'm still taking on more accounts. I'm still putting my money where my mouth is. I'm still reinvesting into my money, into my company, and reinvesting into my future. You know what I mean? But it'd be a lot easier to sit there and say, all right, I'm going to just take that 300,000 this year and I'm going to finish my house, or I'm going to go buy a Lamborghini, which would be really fucking cool, or do something fun like that. But it's that's not where my growth mind is. My growth mind is reinvest, continue. I like to live like I'm broke, man. Like, and I don't live like I'm broke, but I like to feel like I'm broke because that keeps me hungry and that keeps me driving forward. If I ever feel like I fucking made it or, I'm successful or I've got, money in the bank or if I ever feel secure like that, I worry that I'm going to go complacent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that goes back to, so people might think, okay, this guy's doing 3 Murphs a week, 3 jujitsus a week. He says he hates them all. Like, what's the fucking point? The point is you get that confidence from doing stuff that you don't like, but is good for you, just like the cold showers and sticking to your word and seeing it through. So just like I was telling you, I was reading that real estate investment book last night. I mean, dude, I don't know jack shit about real estate. So it's throwing all these like liens and leases and like all this shit that I don't equity, all this shit like I'm very unfamiliar with. And even halfway through, like the second chapter, I'm thinking like, man, I don't know what the fuck he's even talking about. Like, is this for me? And then I thought about my dad saying like, oh, I can't stop. And then I thought, well, I wrote a book about counting your macros and fasting and stuff. If someone's never been in that world before, they're reading about macros and protein and carbs and calculating it. They're like, I could never fucking do this. When I know how easy it is once you start doing it.
Right.
So that's when I started thinking, I was like, oh, like, of course I can fucking do this. I just have to take some time and learn all this shit. It's not going to come easy, but having climbed hills like that before and coming on the other side, then I know it is something I can do, even though it may not, at first glance, it's like, oh, maybe this just isn't for me. You kind of have to, no, I have enough wins in my belt to know that this can be another win. It's just going to take some fucking investment and time and fucking effort.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think the not taking no for an answer is key. Like that's a huge deal because that's how I feel with everything I do, man. Once I get something set in my mind that I'm going to do this, it's like, no, I'm going to do it. And there was it was a really big lesson because it cost me like $400,000. There was only one time I punted on a business I still carried it out longer than I should have because I was like, no, I'm going to make that happen. I'm going to make that happen. But it was a business that I bought that was doomed from the start. I was basically lied to when I bought it and it wasn't what I thought it was. So, but I was still like, no, I'm going to turn it around. I'm going to turn it around. I'm going to turn it around. And that was an expensive lesson, but I still feel like that whole motive and that whole way of life is a good thing. And I try to instill that in my son too, kind of bringing this full circle back into the fatherly deal is I want my son to know that he can do anything that he wants. We've talked about this with Kennedy too. That our children can do anything that they want. And that they don't take no for an answer and that they make things happen and they keep pushing forward. And it's just like that story that we talked about too, where, the gold miner was looking for the gold and the vein runs out and he stops digging and he spends all his money, he stops digging, he gives up and he basically gives the mine away to somebody else. And the guy that he gives the mine away to hires a professional to come out and look at the mine site and the gold vein they were on was going the wrong direction. He was 3 feet away from millions of dollars in gold. Like you never know when you're close. You never know when it's going to happen. Like you could be there, you could be an inch away and decide, fuck it. The juice isn't worth the squeeze. I'm done and turn around and walk away. You know? They say the success is typically right behind the biggest obstacle. So a lot of people hit that obstacle and they're like, fuck. And they throw in the towel. Whereas if you could just find a way to navigate that, go over it, under it, through it, that you're like, oh, okay, like we did it. Right. Yeah. I mean, I even feel that way with this podcast, man. Like we have a great following and I'm super grateful for everybody that listens to this podcast. And it's super crazy and humbling to even think of like, if you even think of a room full of 100 people, say we had 100 views on a video, you think of a room full of 100 people. That's a lot of fucking people that are tuning in to listen to us. So I thank you to our audience. It's actually super humbling and I appreciate it. But on the other coin, it's like when we first started this and we are spending all this money on this deal, I thought it was going to take off a lot quicker than it has. I'm pretty sure you did as well. We're like 50 some videos into this, and we're still sitting, under 1,000 followers on YouTube, and, shit, I was thinking, fuck, it's just going to blow up. We'll have, we got 32,000 people in our group. We'll have at least 30,000 followers on YouTube and in the podcast and all this stuff. And it hasn't worked out like that yet. But I know it's going to, and good things aren't created overnight, and things take time. And I have faith that as long as we continue this course and we continue to add value, and we're following our passions, which is what we're doing here, I think any time that you're following your passion and you're adding value, it's always going to turn out the right way. And it may not be overnight. It may not happen in the time that you want it to happen, but I know it's going to happen. And at the same retrospect too, like, who gives a fuck? Because ego and humility, like my ego sits there and says, and this will be in the ego podcast, but my ego sits there and says like, oh, I want the fame. I want the recognition. I want millions of followers. I want millions of views. You know what I mean? I think everybody wants that. Anybody's ego would want that. But when you actually look into your humility, your humility says, why do I do this? Well, I do this to follow my passion to help people. So if we have 500 followers on our YouTube and we're able to help a handful of out of those 500 people, then we're serving our purpose already.
I just want to get this out there too, because I think I've mentioned this before, but it might help someone listening who might listen and be like, man, I'm just not wired for that. These guys, they wake up, they're motivated. They're not taking no for an answer. My inner bitch voice is fucking loud. Like, this shit does not come easy. There's not a day where I wake up and I'm like, all right, I'm going to get after it today. I'm going to crush this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to call these people. Every day is a fucking struggle. I don't know what it is. But again, it comes back to set your goal, figure out what your purpose is. And that should be loud enough to drown out that inner bitch voice. And it starts with just tackling little challenges and just doing what you say you're going to do. So if you say you're going to wake up at 5 a.m., wake up at 5 a.m. If you say you're going to start going to the gym 3 times a week, fucking do it. Because if you say you're going to wake up at 5, you wake up at 7. You say you're going to go to the gym 3 times a week and you go once and you pitter out. All you're really doing is reaffirming that you never fucking do what you say you're going to do. And your subconscious realizes that. So whenever you do set these goals, it basically takes it with a grain of salt. Like, yeah, dude, okay, you're going to build $1 million business. You can't fucking even wake up on time. So the smallest thing you can do is set little challenges for yourself, whether it's for the day, the week, the month, and just commit to your fucking word, which, I mean, as you know, I've welched out on 75 hard a couple times. That shit, it sucks because it's an L in my book. It's an L I won't get back until I get some more W's over here. And you're not going to be perfect, but you got to fucking rack up some wins. Otherwise, you're going to know, like, okay, you're not really going to do it.
Yeah, and what you're saying is create momentum. Mm-hmm. And that's what you have to do is you have to create momentum. Like, dude, trust me, there's days where I want to just sleep in. Like, actually, every morning I want to sleep in, you know? I would love to be able to sleep in. This shit doesn't come easy for me either. But I built up enough momentum because I made those choices enough. Those small choices ended up turning into big choices enough to where now I've got enough momentum to succeed and to win and to get things done to where if I don't do that, I feel like a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And I don't want to feel like a piece of shit. I want to feel successful. So to me, the feeling of being a beast and getting this shit done overweighs the feeling of wanting to sleep in.
Exactly.
You know? And the other thing too that is super critical to this is having people to hold you accountable. Like, I've got employees that are there every morning at 7 that I've got to make sure that I'm up by 7 to go talk to. Or even, you know, now there's, you know, I've got my company to a point now to where I have managers that manage things. So I'm not down at the shop every morning at 7, but I always still make it a point for me to be up by 7 and at least text them, you know, say, hey, you guys good to go? Do you guys need anything? Let them know that I'm there with them, because I feel like who would I be if I were to sleep in and all my guys are down there at 7 making me money, ready to go, killing it? You know, who the fuck would I be? I'm the leader. I'm the one that propels us in the direction that we're supposed to go. I'm the one that makes sure everybody stays on track. I can't be sleeping in past them. Like, that's just not ethical to me, you know? And it would just make me feel like a piece of shit, you know? Outside of that, you know, friends, create a good circle of friends that are going to hold you accountable. friends that want to see you succeed, friends that aren't just going to co-sign on your bullshit and be like, oh yeah, well, Timmy, you know, maybe someday you'll get there. You know, it's like, no, dude, why'd you fail? You know, you could have done that. What? So you're just being a little bitch, you know? I mean, that's pretty much how Joel and I's conversations go. Really, it is. I mean, it's like, you didn't get that done? I got it done, you know? So being growth minded comes all the way full circle with a lot of different attributes to it. And if I could put this down a step process, right, of putting your money where your mouth is with anything that you want to do in life, whether it be money, success, business, family, friends, whatever it is. One, figure out what the fuck your passion is. What drives you forward? What do you love doing in life? What do you get lost in? What do you do to where you just forget about the time? Nothing else matters. That's your passion. I've even heard of people like adults have said when they're looking for their passion, a lot of times they'll just lay down on the floor and just think, you know, what do I want to do? What makes me happy? And it's like, it kind of brings you back to childhood. If you think about when we were kids, you'd always lay on the floor and draw pictures or whatever you were doing. Just kind of takes you out of that seriousness of being an adult, that like having to have everything figured out all the time, and just kind of go back to your roots of being a kid. Just lay on the floor and just think of like, what the fuck do I want to do? What makes me happy? You know, Once you figure out what your passion is, what makes you happy, you have to figure out how to harness it. You know, how do I use that to propel me forward? How do I use that to get to where I want to be for my goals? You know, I want to be, you know, my passion is helping people. But I also want to be a millionaire, or I want to be financially stable. So how can I use helping people to create wealth, to create money? So you kind of have to have a plan in place. That would be 2. 3 would be build. I don't know how to really say this one, but you have to fucking know and feel that you can do it. Build confidence within yourself. If you have to start writing down affirmations daily, then write down affirmations daily. Tell yourself you can do it. You know, you want to be a doctor. I'm the best doctor in town. I help people daily. You know, all the doctors consult me for advice, you know, whatever it is. Believe that you can do this thing that you want to do, and then make it happen. You have to take action. Once you know what you want to do, you know, you believe that you can do it, then you have to take action and create momentum. That's the create momentum part. And like I said, it's not going to happen overnight. But just like with these podcasts, man, if we don't, I don't know about you, but if we don't shoot one week, we shoot every Wednesday. And every podcast might not be a bombshell, you know? Some get more views than others or whatever it may be, but I know that we're adding value every time. And we've created this momentum that every Wednesday we shoot podcasts. And now if we don't shoot a podcast on a Wednesday, I don't know about you, but I feel off. You know, not only is this like my passion to help people, but it also is kind of like therapy to me, you know? It feels good to get out. It feels good to talk. It feels good to speak. It feels good to have a positive, success-driven mindset. I'm not always like this. There's times where I get stuck in my own head, where I get anxiety, or I'll get stuck in with negative thoughts, or, you know, things of that nature. And when I can get with a good group of buddies, a good group of people, and talk about things that are growth-minded and positive and propel me forward, and then, you know, come up with enough of it to speak about it, you know, for an hour on a podcast, it puts me back in the right mindset as well. So not only am I hoping to add value to you, but doing this is adding value to me also.
Big time. And environment plays a big part of that. I think you're step 3 there. It's just it, man. If you want to be a doctor, don't hang out at the bar with a bunch of fucking jobless weirdos. Hang out with some doctors that know what you're talking about. Talk about doctor stuff. Be around people that have gotten their doctorate, stuff like that. Because environment is so huge, man. It's so huge. And you can't always control the people around you, but you can control the content you consume, the books you read, the people you do choose to invest your time with, all that kind of stuff. So it's again like the political thing. I had to take a step out of it because I found myself just mentally fatigued by the end of the day, thinking about it. It's just negative, filled with hate a lot of the time. So then I went back to like watching comedy, watching motivational videos like that. I feel way better. So just be conscious about your environment, the type of content you're consuming. If you're listening to this, it's a good start.
Yeah. I'm going to end with this. So a lot of people, especially if you're listening to this podcast or you're in our Dads Who Lift group, we are a growth-minded group, but we're also, obviously, it's Dads Who Live. So we're all trying to stay physically fit. We're all in the gym. Most people probably know what it is to diet and know what it is to eat clean, at least for some part in your life. I'm sure everybody's done that at some point. And you realize that when you eat clean, your body feels good, right? When I'm eating clean, my body feels good. I've got energy. I don't have acne. You know, my body just feels radiant. You know, I'm alive. I can feel it. It just feels good, right? The same fucking thing goes for what you put into your mind. And I would argue to say that that's probably I will say that that's more important. That whatever you put in your mind does the same exact thing on your body. Whatever you're digesting into your mind, just like you put food into your mouth, you're putting thoughts and ideas into your mind by who you surround yourself with, what you listen to, what you read, you know, whatever it may be. If you're always around negative impacting things or negative people, you're going to have a negative mindset. If you're always around positive things or positive people, or reading growth-minded books or positive books, or you know, absorbing positive information, you're going to have a positive mindset. So I think that is imperative to putting your money where your mouth is and doing anything that you want to do in your life that's going to create your success and your passion. And the shit isn't easy. If it was easy, everybody would do it. You know, it takes work. It takes effort. And you have to make sure that you get there because nobody else is going to do it for you.
Love it, man.
Cool.
Well,
all right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in to the Dads Who Live podcast. We do this stuff for free. It actually costs us a lot of money to do this stuff, but we're just here trying to add value. That's really all we want to do, is add value to your life and add value to your day. If you guys got anything from this, please give us a like, share, 5-star review. Tell one friend about it. We'd really appreciate it. We don't run ads. We want to grow organically. We want to add value and grow organically. So please just tell one friend. We're on YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud, iTunes. All the formats are on our website, www.dadswholifofficial.com. We also have apparel for Dads Who Lift on our website, www.dadswholifofficial.com. We are on Instagram as Dads Who Lift Official. That's our IG handle. We're on Facebook as Dads Who Lift Podcast. And then we also have a Facebook group that's growing like crazy right now, up to like 33,000 guys, I think, just accepted 1,000 yesterday. But 33,000 dads that are like-minded guys. Just trying to be their best fathers, their best selves, and stay physically fit at the same time. So if that's something that interests you, check that group out on Facebook. It's a group called Dads Who Lift Official. But yeah, that's all we got, guys. Make it a good day.
It's forever, you know, this life forever, no surrender. It's forever, you know, this life forever. I'm bigger dead than alive, bigger dead than alive. I'm bigger dead than alive, dead than alive, yeah. I'm bigger dead than alive, bigger dead than alive, la.